So our headline this hour coming from Gotham after another performance worthy of flatulence at the quarterback position. The talking point for many around the NFL is how the Jets could waste such an amazing defense with a total incompetent stooge at quarterback. Now, understanding Aaron Rodgers was injured the first week, but the Jets had no backup plan. None. And they're riding naked with Zach Wilson, who is still under siege in New York. And as a result of Zach Wilson being under siege, because he's really bad at what he does, he has now put his coach into a pickle jar, a hermetically sealed pickle jar. And if you haven't heard yet, maybe not, the Jets head coach, Robert Saleh, appeared on something called the Michael Kay Show. And surprisingly, some would say stunningly, pled the fifth when asked why the Jets have not benched the incompetent Zach Wilson. Saleh was pressed during his weekly paid radio appearance in New York, and listen to the response from Robert Saleh when asked why not give Trevor Siemian an opportunity to play the quarterback position. Let's go to the audio tape.
You've got Trevor Siemian in your building. Why not give him a try?
No, I got you. No, it's again a fair question. You know, it's like I said, he. I don't know. You got me. I'm gonna plead the fifth on all this one in terms of just. I've kind of explained it, respectfully, obviously, but they're valid questions. But I know from a passionate fan, from fans who are passionate, all having the same questions, I respect it greatly, But I've got to look at it from a global standpoint and just see where we are and look at the all 22 the best I can and make the decisions best as possible. So,
global standpoint, from a global standpoint, let me tell you. Ecuador reporting in, you blow. Poland reporting in, you stink. All right? Global standpoint. Oh, that was so good. He was about to say something he shouldn't have said. He was about to say something he shouldn't have said. So let us discuss the question. How do you decode Robert Saleh's response, pleading the fifth and sticking with Zach Wilson? So I've got pay grade, Tammy Wynette, and Muhammad Ali. We will tie all of these things together, and we are going to make a loop-de-loop, which is what the Jets are in right now, a little loop-de-loop with a defense that is worthy of the playoffs and an offense that is worthy of a top-5 pick. So, Robert Saleh, who, and I'll give him this, he's generally a smooth operator. He is, right? We've heard his audio over the last couple of years. He's very polished with the media. He's read a lot of Tony Robbins' positivity books, What Awakened the Giant Within, all that. I'm sure he studies the Dalai Lama, The Art of Happiness. But for him to almost step into it, to almost go there with a basic question about Trevor Siemian is a dead giveaway. So my Spidey-like senses tell me that Robert Saleh is in over his skis when it comes to the quarterback position, meaning that this decision is being made above his pay grade. That if it was up to Robert Saleh, he knows, he's been around the NFL a number of years, he knows Zach Wilson ain't it, the guy blows, and they got to get somebody else in there. So where is it coming from? Is it the Johnson & Johnson Band-Aid company? Joe Douglas, the rotund general manager of the Jets? Who is it? But pleading the fifth is a tell. It's a big tell, right? Pleading the fifth, Robert Saleh avoids further self-incrimination because he was about to step on the hand grenade. He was about to step on the hand grenade, and the pin had been pulled. And it's just like every movie that has a criminal storyline to it where you go through the courtroom, and it's I refuse to answer on the grounds that I may incriminate myself. All right, you assume the guilt. Listen, Robert Saleh's been the Jets coach now for 42 games. The Jets have lost 27 of those 42 games in 3 seasons at the helm of a franchise that is living up to one of their monikers, Gang Green. All right, we pivot away from that. We go now to Pittsburgh, PA, home of Pete in Pittsburgh and Iron City beer, and also home of Mike Tomlin. Now, Mike Tomlin is the gift that keeps giving. Every week, he fills up the collection plate for the Brotherhood of Sports Talk Radio content. Now, if you didn't hear the latest, Tomlin had a couple of gems that we can parse over here. A reporter at his weekly media powwow asked Mike Tomlin about the contrast, the very real contrast between Kenny Pickett in the first part of games and Kenny Pickett late in games. And the question, I want to play the response by Tomlin because you got to hear his response. It's really the story. But the question was Pickett's quarterback rating is like 75 in the first three quarters, and then it's obviously much better in the fourth quarter. So Mike Tomlin, knowing that was a negative question, he took that question and folded it a couple of times, flipped it over, and, well, let's let you listen. Let's go to the audio tape.
Like breathing. It's easy. I know it's a cute story for you guys, but it is a pebble in my shoe, to be quite honest with you, in terms of the things that I have to do in an effort to get this group ready to play this week. Our focus is on the Green Bay Packers and what we're all going to do in this football game, and I can't state it any plainer than that. It's like reality television. Well, the way you guys follow social media.
Hold on a second. So that was the incorrect bite. I thought I'd said a different bite. So let me just give you the quote, and then we'll play that one because that's a good soundbite too. We'll get to that in a minute. But the quote here was from Tomlin. He said when he was asked specifically about Kenny Pickett's quarterback rating in the first three quarters, which is 75. Tomlin then interrupted and he said, "Well, what's the quarterback rating in the fourth quarter?" He took the question and asked another question without answering the initial question, and the reporter said, "Well, his quarterback rating is 108." And so Tomlin then twisted that around and said that he wants to be the reason we are successful. He rises up, give all those cliches that he runs the challenges. So that is why his performance is so good in the fourth quarter. So he twisted that around. So Mike Tomlin's defense of Kenny Pickett, we'll get to that other soundbite in a sec, but Mike Tomlin's defense of Kenny Pickett, does it pass the eye test? And it is standard for an NFL coach to defend their quarterback. Mike Tomlin publicly is a guardian angel for his players. And so on this one, when talking about Kenny Pickett in particular, he was humming bars from Tammy Wynette, the Tammy Wynette classic, Stand By Your Man. Right? Tomlin was puffing smoke. And we like Tomlin. We think he's great, but I mean, he's full of crap when it comes to Kenny Pickett being acceptable at quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you look around at Lamar Jackson or, in particular, Joe Burrow and Kenny Pickett, I mean, he is dreadful. But I'm pretty sure if one of Mike Tomlin's kids got 75% of their answers on a test wrong, that he would not be satisfied. That's a 25%, which gets you an F letter grade. A letter grade F means that is unsatisfactory performance. A grade of F is a failing grade. So Kenny Pickett, what he has done, while it is nice to have the comeback wins, it is not sustainable. All right, now we stay in Pittsburgh. So now we'll set up what we played earlier. So a day after that Thursday night win with the Titans last week, some social media sleuths were snooping around, and they discovered that George Pickens is not a happy camper. George Pickens unfollowed the Steelers on the gram, and he deleted all references to the team and all posts, except there was one highlight reel from over 3 years ago that was still left on his account, and that was it. Now, some people realizing this was going on, they also took screenshots of a Instagram post where the caption was 2 words, "Free me." Those are the 2 words. Now, obviously not happy. You don't have to be anybody of inside information and that. So Tomlin was asked about that, and we'll set it up this way. Trouble brewing on the horizon with George Pickens, the standard diva wide receiver in Pittsburgh, not happy. We've seen a diva wide receiver or 2 in Pittsburgh over the years, but here is Mike Tomlin, and he was asked how he is going to handle coaching George Pickens after what he has done the last week or so. Take a listen.
I know it's a cute story for you guys, but it is a pebble in my shoe, to be quite honest with you, in terms of the things that I have to do in an effort to get this group ready to play this week. Our focus is on the Green Bay Packers and what we're all going to do in this football game. And I can't state it any plainer than that.
Mike, have you
It's like reality television, the way you guys follow social media and write stories about it.
Wow, so Mike started cutting out. The beginning, which I think was cut off, he said it's like breathing, it's easy, is what he said. It's like breathing, it's easy when talking about coaching George Pickens. So are you buying the George Pickens story as a nothing burger for the Steelers? No, they see the buzzer. That was a little buzzer there. So this is, in years of doing it, this is your standard diva wide receiver, but that doesn't mean it's a nothing. It's a bad apple. If he continues to not be targeted, continues to not get his catches and his yards and his touchdowns, if this becomes a trend, then what does he do next? Like, the ball's in his court. And so Tomlin also missed the mark on this one, because the quote about the pebble, which was a great quote. I mean, it's good audio there. It's like a pebble in my shoe, to be honest. Now, that phrase, I know the history of it because I'm into the history of phrases and words and quotes and stuff. We do that on the Fifth Hour podcast every weekend. We have the word or the phrase or whatever to try to learn something if you want to download that. But Muhammad Ali came up. He's the one that really popularized. He wasn't the one that came up with it, but the iconic boxer back in the day, Muhammad Ali came up with that phrase and used it. But what he said, getting ready for a fight, he said, it isn't the mountains ahead to climb that wear you out. It's the pebble in your shoe that wears you out. And so George Pickens is a pebble in the shoe of Mike Tomlin, which is problematic. Whether Yinzers want to admit it or not, they can be in denial, be fanboys, and say there's nothing to it. But there is absolutely something to it.